Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast, the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective. As always, follow us on our social medias, pretty much everywhere at Topper_Talk. And this podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. And I promise you it'll be, as I always say, the best thing you do if you're moving. Just let the pros do it. Sit back and relax and, let them make your life easier as always. Got Tyler here with me, man. Tyler, we've got a NCAA game to recap. You ready to dive into it?
Yeah, man. Let's get into it.
But before we do that, let's get caught up with our Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up on all the athletics we've missed since we last recorded. And that is brought to us by our sponsor, Trent Bedding. Let's get a word from them.
Don't forget your headboard, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twins, full, queen and king, mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
I will tell you, if I'm ever going to need another mattress, I'm going to go Trent Bedding. It's just based on that commercial alone. WKU softball beat Morehead State 9-0.
Yeah, it's nice that we beat Morehead State in something. Maybe that's something we need to continue doing. But yeah, softball is having a good start to the season. So I'm glad they're keeping it rolling and not struggling to score.
Tennis lost to Samford 4-3 and then lost to UAB 4-2. Then tennis turned around and beat Alabama A&M 4-0. Tennis is now 10-7 overall. Rachel Hermanova set a new school record with 45 and counting career singles wins.
Yeah, the tennis team, they had been at home for a long time and won, 5 or 6 matches there in a row. Now they're on the Alabama tour, Samford, UAB, and Alabama A&M, and unfortunately dropped the first 2, but then were able to bounce back and beat Alabama A&M earlier today as we record late Wednesday. So, keep it rolling, tennis.
Baseball lost to FIU 1-11 in game 1, won game 2 14-4, and lost game 3 3-7. Baseball lost midweek to Murray State 2-15. Baseball is now 16-10 overall and 1-2 in Conference USA play. Softball lost to La Tech 3-5 in game 1, won game 2 6-5, and lost game 3 4-10. Softball is 20-10 and 1 overall and 6-3 in Conference USA play.
Yeah, I think that's the first time this season that we've had both the men's baseball team and the softball team lose a series. I think the men's had at least split every series so far this year. And softball, had won quite a few games as well, 20-10 and 1 overall. So first time they both lost a series, battled in all 3 games and just couldn't pull it off. So, hopefully they turn that around. They're both getting into CUSA play now, so it's time to start winning those games as the standings matter, heading towards the tournament.
Moving into men's golf, they came in 9th of 14 at the Mobile Classic Intercollegiate. Luke Fuller tied for 15th, Riley Grindstaff and Gage Doyle tied for 34.
Yeah, good showing by the men's team. The first spring for Austin King, after he was named coach last year. So, really looking forward to where that men's team goes, still early in the spring, putting things together, getting to know each other. So pretty good showing there. Hope they continue that and, climb up the leaderboard in future tournaments.
The Red Towel Trust held watch parties in Bowling Green and Indianapolis for the NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, just another perk of being a member there. If you're a Red Towel Trust donor, to one of the sponsorship levels, you had access to either the watch party here at White Squirrel Brewery if you stayed in Bowling Green, or if you went up to Indianapolis, they had a watch party as well and a send off for the team there at the Omni Hotel, I believe it was. So just really cool. A lot of more cool stuff going to be coming down the pipe for Red Towel Trust members. Going to be exclusive. So if you're not a member, obviously join today.
WKU Pro Day was this past Monday. Austin Reed and Malachi Corley were both back on the hill. Steve Smith Jr. also attended. Corley ran a 4.440 into the win and did 27 bench presses. 9 NFL teams had wide receiver coaches present.
Yeah, I think we've all seen clips and pictures by now of some of the pro day stuff. Seeing Craig Bird out there, Marquise Stepp, Austin Reed, Malachi, obviously, Davion Williams, Nante was out there just trying to make a name for themselves in front of, I think, 31 of the 32 NFL teams were present. But, man, Malachi Corley was just looking shredded. He has been training his butt off. He didn't get to go to the NFL Combine due to illness. So this was his, kind of first chance to, be directly one-on-one in front of some NFL teams, and just had a heck of a showing. Just out there, looked great. Bench press 27 was outstanding. Running a 4.4, he ran 240s, and it was super windy outside on Monday, and still just ran a really good time. So just solidified his stock. He's definitely going to be a late first, or by the middle of the second round. I just don't see him still being there with the hype that he's getting, the attention that he's getting, and just the film that he has, and just now everything he's doing, in front of NFL people. That man is going to earn his draft position for sure.
Moving on to Lady Topper Golf, they hired Emma Tolley to the golf staff. She was an NCAA individual champion, a U.S. Open amateur champion, 4-time All-American, and 3-time KHSAA state champion. Girl's got one hell of a resume right there.
Yeah, it's not often that you hire someone with that pedigree onto your staff. I know she's not the head coach by any means, but just to have that experience and somebody who's been there, done that very recently. I believe she played at Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't look real hard into her bio. When I saw those accolades, I was impressed enough. But we already have a really good women's golf team. They've had some really good outings this year. Katie Craig has been solid and near the top of the leaderboard in every tournament she's been in lately. So, this hire is definitely just going to help make that team stronger and help us get better. I mean, that's a good addition to the team. So quite a hire by Lady Topper Golf.
Now, the Red Towel Trust also announced their official partnership with the BG Foundry, another great community service partner.
Yeah, this is another, they did the Boys and Girls Club a couple weeks ago. They announced that partnership, and now they just announced with the BG Foundry. Just a really good after-school program for kids that may not have, the most opportunities and most resources provided to them. Just another good outreach program for this community, and definitely a good opportunity for our student athletes to be out in the community and just making a difference, seeing kids and impacting their lives. So I know that they enjoy those opportunities, and that's going to be a great partnership that's going to pay dividends down the road for the athletes and the community.
It really is. WKU Volleyball announced their spring schedule. April 6th will be their annual spring tournament hosted in the auxiliary gyms this year. That concludes the Red Towel wrap-up, brought to you by the Trent Bedding Company. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, really good wrap-up as always. Some losses in there with softball and baseball, but still, always positive to be talking about our athletes and performing and just getting out there trying their best. But we do have an NCAA tournament game to recap. We went into the NCAA tournament last weekend. We were the 15 seed going against number 2 seed Marquette up in Indianapolis. That game was Friday at 1:00 local time. Ultimately, we lost that game 87-69. I think we all know how that game played out. We had a really good first half. Tyrone Marshall just kind of went insane and led us to a nice 7-point halftime lead, but that kind of disintegrated in the second half, and we'll talk about that here shortly. But the season's over now. WKU basketball ends 22-12 overall. We finished 8-8 in Conference USA play. Obviously, we went 3-0 there in Huntsville, and then got to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 11 years. Tyrone Marshall, he had 17 points in that first half. He also had 5 rebounds and 5 assists. He finished the game with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. So just a really strong, last game of the season for him. Don McHenry was also right there. He had 11 points and 8 rebounds. Christian Lander had 7 points. And then we had a bunch of guys that had 6. Enoch Colombe, Babacar Faye, Dante Allen, and Rodney Howard all had 6 points on the game. So just a really well spread out, kind of distribution of the points. Obviously, Tyrone Marshall with 21 led the charge. But everybody else chipped in and was right there, and it was a tough game. Tyler, what were your thoughts on the game and just, how it played out?
Well, like everyone else, I was really excited to be back there and see the Hilltoppers playing on the national stage in the national tournament like this. And then, the first half we went on that, 22-6 or 22-4 run. And I was like, oh, hell, this is topper time right here. And, I thought maybe Don would, he's normally averaging 18, or he's gotten up into the 20s a lot this season. So I thought maybe he would come alive in the second half like he has in games past. But, I mean, Marquette just started getting unconscious from the threes. I know I seen that one shot where the dude jumped and tried to draw the foul, kind of shot from down here, and it nothing but net. I mean, that's why they were number 2 seed. I'm proud of the Toppers. I still woke up the next morning a Topper fan, went to bed that night Topper fan, but I would have loved to seen us advance a little bit farther in this tournament, man.
Yeah, that first half was one of the better halves we probably played this season. Going in 43-36, we had a really strong finish to the half, finishing on a really strong run. Got up by double digits at one point. They chipped away a little bit and made it 7 at half. Coming out of halftime, unfortunately, we just couldn't keep that momentum. I think we were 6 of 12 from 3 in the first half, and then the second half we were 2 of 12. So, just couldn't make those 3-point shots. Shot selection wasn't great. We weren't making shots, and you have to give a lot of credit to Marquette. They were playing good defense. Like you said, they were the number 2 seed for a reason. Cam Jones, their little guard, was tough. He was hard to stay in front of. He finished the game with 28 points for Marquette. And then their point guard, Kolek, that played the game, he was questionable leading up to it. He was every bit as advertised, man. He was a solid general floor leader for them. Finished with 18 points, 6 rebounds, just kind of a did-it-all kind of guy, distributed the ball really well. So, like you, I'm really proud of this season. I'm not sure that anybody at the beginning of the season would have thought that we're playing in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, that's a goal. That's a hope. That's what we want to do every year. But year one, new coach, 9 new players, just a lot of unknowns. You really don't know how that's going to play out. But, all season long, we saw glimpses and flashes of this team being really good on both ends of the ball, offense and defense. They put it together in Huntsville. Went on that special magical run, and then even the first half of this game continued it. I mean, that was one of the funnest halves of basketball we had seen in a long time. And obviously it didn't carry over into the second half, end up losing the game, but still just nice to be back in that conversation, nice to be back in the NCAA tournament. Just enjoyed it. I mean, the experience, had been too long, in coming. And obviously we hope we can keep some of the band together and try to do it again next year. We'll talk about that and some of the possibilities there a little later, but we've got to get into some grades for this game. I know it was kind of a tale of 2 halves, but Tyler, what do you got for the offense in this game versus Marquette?
Well, if I was going by just first half, it's going to be an A. You come out, you only hit 2 threes second half. we had 11 turnovers in the first half, so we only had 7 in the second half. I don't see how we had 11 in the first whenever we went on that huge run. But, another thing that surprised me, we only shot 6 free throws this entire game. We committed 15 fouls. They committed 9, but they shot 15 free throws. So it's not a real high free throw shooting game. I guess I'd had to, gosh, our average was like, I'd try to go with the C on this one, man. I mean, A in first half, second half, shot selection really went down. My MVT, Brandon Newman, he didn't have his best game, which it happens. But man, yeah, I'm going to go C on this.
Yeah, I'm not far behind you. I'm gonna give them a B minus. You're talking about the turnovers. Most of those, the 11 turnovers in the first half, most of those were in the first 12 minutes of the game. I think we were averaging almost a turnover per minute there in that first 9 to 10 minutes of the half. And then when we started to take care of the ball, I think over the last 6-7 minutes, we only had 2 turnovers, and that's when we started applying that pressure, went on that run, got up by double digits, and really just had things roll. I think we went on like a 16-2 run at one point and really stretched it out, and it coincided with taking care of the ball, which is an Achilles heel that we had talked about all year. Literally every game, keys to victory, recap of games. If we lost, it always revolved around turnovers and taking care of the ball and just being efficient. Because when we got shots, so we generally were pretty efficient. But it did happen this game. There were a lot of turnovers. We cleaned it up in the second half, but we just weren't taking great shots. We weren't taking good shots, and they weren't falling. So I'm right there with you. I'm going to give the offense a B minus. What about this defense versus Marquette?
Defense, we got 18 in the first half. We had 18 defensive rebounds. We ended up having 30. They had 10. They ended up with 26. We had 8, or they had 7 in the first half offensive rebounds. In the second half overall, we gave up 11. Also committed those 15 fouls, which, think about it, I mean, well, they only hit 8 of them free throws, so that would just kept score a little bit closer. First half defense, they just wasn't hitting shots, and we went on that run. Second half, the wheels kind of fell off of it. I'll probably give the defense I'll probably go C+ on this. Yeah, C+.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm giving them a C as well. I think Marquette was tough. Cam Jones and what was his name? Was it Brady Collick? What was Collick's first name? I don't remember. But they were both really, really good players. And as advertised, Joplin hit some threes. We talked about him in the preview for the game. So they were just overall just a good team. Shaka Smart puts a good team and a good product on the floor. His name has been in some of these coaching carousel talks, since some teams are looking for coaches. So just, they're a good team, and they made defense hard. If we were looking at it by half, holding them to 36 in the first half was great, but I think they scored, 50, 52, something 51 in the second half. So yeah, tale of two halves. So, defense is going to get a C for me. What about the coaching versus Marquette?
First half, he had us fired up. I don't know what he said in there at halftime. I don't know what the team was feeling. And, the coach can't be out there swatting balls. Sometimes I wish he probably could. But I'd have to give coaching probably C on this one as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little higher. I think we had a good game plan for Marquette. I think the first half would have looked even better if we weren't turning the ball over so much. I think we should have went into halftime up double digits plus. That 7-point lead could have easily been 12, 15, or even more if we take care of the ball. And then maybe we don't necessarily slow them down, but we make it a larger hill for them to climb to come back in the second half. You never know, but I think, Lutz and staff had a good plan. Shot selections a lot of time are forced by defense and just not making shots. The coach can't get out there and make shots for them. I think, we had a good plan. a couple players didn't have their best game for whatever reason. Usually that's going to be attributed to the defense. Marquette was a good team. I think coaching wise, we had a good game plan. We just went up against a better team that executed their game plan better. So I'm going to give the coaches a B. Now, what about the fans and support there in the NCAA tournament? What you got for them?
Well, I didn't make it up there. I did see the pictures and the videos there at the send off at the hotel, and then whenever the camera was kind of going through the crowd, I mean, you saw a lot of red. It was a good number up there. So I'm going to give them an A. I mean, Hilltopper Nation can travel just like we saw down in Huntsville. I mean, the Hilltops will move. Hilltopper fans will move if you give them a reason to cheer. And for that, I'll give the fans an A.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Again, the fans were great. The send-off videos and pictures at the team hotel looked awesome. The fan support, the crowd, the red that you could see on the TV camera angles looked great and were loud at times. So I'm really impressed with the fans. I think we did a good job in traveling for the team and supporting them, like you said, just like we did in Huntsville. So, if we're giving our team something to travel and cheer about, our fans are going to be right there with them. So they definitely get an A. What about the overall grade for this NCAA tournament appearance, the first time in 11 years?
First time in 11 years. And we, as you said, and I'm echoing, we played a damn good team. I'm going to give the overall, I'll give them a B- on here. Yeah. That A for the fans really boosted up some.
Yeah, I'm going with a B, overall for this game. Just couldn't put together, like we've said, against a better team. Had some just taking care of the ball. You can't turn it over against that good a team, and you have to shoot better, and that's, basketball 101s, take care of the ball and make baskets. But we didn't do either of those things good enough. But I think it was still slightly better than an average performance for us. I think that's just a symptom of playing a really good team. So I'm going to give them a B. Obviously a tough game, tough way to end the season. Everybody wants to win, their last game, but there's only a few teams that do that depending on what postseason tournaments you play in. So still a fun first year under first-year coach Steve Lutz, obviously coming over from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Now we move into the off season, which, really, we go directly into the portal being open. There's players everywhere jumping into the portal. There's coaches that have been fired and are being interviewed and hired at other schools. And at this point where we stand right now, one, there has not been any transfer portal entries that have been announced or made official by any WKU player. So as it stands right now, without speculating, without saying I've heard this or so-and-so's heard this, as it stands right now, the only player on our roster that has exhausted their eligibility and can't come back is Rodney Howard. So there's a potential right now, as it stands, for every player, even those that participated in senior night, Dante Allen and Brandon Newman, those guys have eligibility left. They could come back if they so desire. That is up to them. Rodney Howard is the only one with no eligibility left and cannot return. Obviously, Jalen Jackson is dependent on a medical redshirt waiver. And then Terrion Murdix, assuming he is healthy and ready to go next year, would be added to the roster as available. But we could definitely potentially have, a special season brewing next year if, all the cards fall into place. But as it stands right now, Coach Lutz is a hot commodity in the coaching carousel. His name has been mentioned with several job openings. The SMU job, which has been filled now by the former USC coach. And then most notably, recently, the Oklahoma State job. And while nothing's official, if you put your ear close enough to the ground or close enough to Twitter, you'll see that chatter, that people speculating, fan accounts, etc., message boards, Yeah, there's just a lot of smoke out there, and right now there's no fire to report on. That's something that we've always hung our hat on is we're not going to speculate or try to be breaking news to rumors. Right now they are just rumors. There's nothing official. When it is official, we will report on it and talk about it, and talk about the implications of any changes that may occur, whether that's to the roster or to the coaching staff. But right now it's just rumors. There's nothing to talk about other than it could happen. But right now, Steve Lutz is our basketball coach, and as it stands, all of our players are scheduled to return as we talk right now. Wednesday, March 27th. That could change though. Tyler, what are your thoughts on just now we're in the off season? The portal giveth, the portal taketh away, and that potential, the coaching carousel, the unknown that's out there. What are your thoughts on just all that unknown that's going on right now?
I don't like it. I don't like an unknown. First of all, basketball season kind of always is to me a little depressing time because basketball season is my favorite season. All the games, you get to know the players, you get to like the players, and then it's coming at the end of March, end of February, March, season's pretty much over. But I do like that, we possibly and hopefully could bring back this whole team minus Rodney, which I'm going to miss Rodney. I would like for next season for us to get another similar big-bodied big man, 6'11", 7 foot. And kind of, his build. I mean, I those post players are intimidating, and they're typically physical and can move around people. But man, I mean, I saw on Twitter, the Lutz is being talked about by SMU and OSU. And I was like, I hope that's not true. And I'm still hoping that, we at least get one more year out of him. So hopefully he's back next year. But as a mid-major, that's just life. We had to adjust, and we always had to keep our hopes up that next season we're going to have either this coach or possibly another coach that's going to be catching fire right at the right time and elevate us, and maybe not go on another dry spell of not going to the NCAA tournaments for 11 years. Stansbury, you suck. But I'm hoping for the best, and I always expect the best, hope for the best.
Yeah, and as basketball season ends, we move into the off season. Obviously, there's WKU football spring practice is going on right now, so we'll have more to talk about that. The position battles, the portal will reopen for them as we get into April, May. I forget what those exact dates are, but we'll talk about that just like we did last year. We're coming up. I think we're 3 weeks now from our 1 year anniversary. I think April 14th was our launch date last year, right around the spring game, which is on April 20th this year. I'm sure we'll be here to cover that. We'll continue covering the other spring sports, baseball, softball, track and cross country are going. Tennis is going, golf is going. So, we're going to continue covering these other sports. And then we'll update with basketball news, whether coaching or roster changes as they become relevant or official. It's just that time of year where, a symptom of winning is your coaches and players getting poached. So we hope that doesn't happen, but right now it's out of our control. We'll see what happens, and when it does happen, we'll talk about it. But that's my final thoughts. I'm looking forward to the off season, even if it's a headache of going through a coaching search again, if that's what it turns into. But just hopefully the right things happen, and we get to look forward to next year. And for long we'll be talking about football season and gearing up for game 1 versus Alabama. So Tyler, hit me with your final words and take us the heck out of here.
All right. So I've been stewing on this, and I told you about it a little bit before we started recording. Tom Izzo and I think his name is Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner. Both of them can kick rocks for all I care. They want to make the NCAA just into a glorified circle jerk. Sorry, excuse my French. so be it. But they ain't going to do it on my watch. I know they want to take away the AQs for the G5s. Forget that. This is what makes the NCAA tournament so great. The underdogs come in, upset them. And, yeah, I've just been brewing on that since that news broke, like, a few weeks ago. But, yeah, I mean, fandom don't take fandom ain't here for a season. We want to be we are going to be the longest running WKU podcast dedicated to sports. We don't do seasons. We don't take April to September off. We're going to be here. I'm going to be at spring game. I know you're going to be there. We're going to be covering that news, covering the QB battles, wide receiver, see where everyone lines up at. And man, it's just crazy to think that we're coming up on a year anniversary. That's wild. I never would have thought it. Never thought I'd been here doing something like this for a year. But I'm not as handsome as Hank. I don't speak as well as Hank. But I'm going to try my best. Moth, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See you.